final days of the legislative session, Colorado state lawmakers passed a bill to create an Office of Liaison for missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. News 5's Ashley Portillo joins us live from downtown Colorado Springs to tell us more about this bill and how it could impact the community. Ashley.
Allison, so behind me is the power mural located right here on Pikes Peak Avenue, and this mural is a sign of solidarity for the missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. And although a bill has passed in Colorado to help this specific community, I'm told that more work needs to be done.
It's a win, but it's not a victory, and we will continue to move forward until we stop having to add more people to this list.
The list that says there are fewer than 15 murdered and missing Indigenous relatives in Colorado.
They have 14 people who are either murdered or missing in the CBI database. We have 53 on the MMIR Task Force of Colorado's list that we're maintaining. Clearly there's a breakdown.
A bill passed by lawmakers will establish an Office of Liaison in the Department of Public Safety. It'll also help with investigations involving missing and murdered Indigenous relatives.
So it was essential that the state of Colorado create an office to finally stop turning their backs on these people and address the crisis.
The office will update numbers and information on the missing and murdered. It'll address any other issues for this community and lastly, provide services to their families.
Having a dedicated office is really important because it will establish cross-jurisdictional communication between federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement.
Senator Jessie Danielson sponsored the bill. She said a part of the bill is creating an advisory council, which includes members of the tribal community and law enforcement. The proposed legislation did receive some pushback from Governor Jared Polis, but with a few amendments, it passed in the House and Senate.
The community stood their ground, and they said, we have been dealing with this crisis for decades now. We know what we need in our communities to solve these problems.
The bill helping to solve the issue and sound the alarm that 4 out of 5 Indigenous people face violence. But advocates say there's more to be done.
You don't see these rates of violence with any other group of people. This bill isn't going to solve those issues, but it gives us a stepping stone.
So the bill also requires that any law enforcement agencies that do receive a report of a missing Native person, they do have to report that to CBI within 8 hours. It also does require that law enforcement agencies, they get training about missing and murdered Indigenous people. For now, reporting in Colorado Springs, I'm Ashley Portillo, News 5.